Oh, looky here. Look who they left in charge. Today, let's talk about these draft eligible running backs that I think your team needs to focus on. Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's me, your boy Tony, the president of Shenanigans. They got me here running solo. We're going to see how this work out. But before I forget, because I will, I need you to hit that like button. I need you to subscribe to us. I need you to turn on your notifications just so you can know when we upload new content. But today we're going to be talking about these running backs. It's 5 or 6 out there that I think that are worthy enough to be drafted. I don't think any are first round talents by any means necessary. But that's not saying nothing too bad just because the running back has been devalued in the NFL. But without further ado, let's talk about one running back. I'm not going to do these in order. I think that'd be unfair because I've seen a lot more of certain running backs than I have others, but I've seen highlights. So the first one I want to talk about is this guy here, Kenneth Walker, the third from Michigan State. Let's talk about some of his strengths. I mean, he has speed, he has quickness, he has a great sense of which hole he needs to hit. One thing about him, though, he's very fast, but he's not frenetic, meaning he doesn't lose control. His third level speed, which is, once he hits that third gear, it's above average. It's not elite, but he has enough speed to where he can get away from somebody chasing him. He loves cuts. He doesn't shy away from contact. He always presents a target in the passing game. He's a real good pass catcher. That's what he did at Michigan State. He was the all-around back. That's why I think he's one of the top backs in this draft. But while saying that, while he can get through certain gaps with ease, sometimes after that first hit, and if they stick him real good, he doesn't bounce. He falls, which I think he needs to improve. I think he needs to also have him running into the right play and not get into his mind where sometimes he does run out of the correct play. But I'm not concerned about him. I think that he will be a great all down three down back in the NFL. I kind of compare him to Melvin Gordon. Now let's talk about another running back who I also think is one of the best in the game, but I still think both of them are second round picks. Let's talk about Breshad Hall from Iowa State. Now, while he isn't a burner, he's explosive, and sometimes that's better than just pure speed. He also has a lot of patience, vision, power, and he has that quick first step, which a lot of running backs need when you're not fast enough. He creates on all 3 levels of his game: running, passing, and blocking. He can do all of it. And you see it real good when he's used in the passing game. He excels more than Kenneth but that's just my opinion. But the problem with him is he does that lack of just flash, that speed that most running backs need. He really doesn't have it. He does have some quickness, but not to the level of Kenneth. He can't, like, if you bottle him up, he can't find his way out. He's usually going to go right down. So if the defense gets on him quickly, I think that he's limited in what he can do. But I will say, even with all that, he brings so much else to the table that it kind of compensates for what he lacks. And by all means, what he lacks is not a professional death sentence, but I can imagine the NFL scouts actually thinking of ways to use him. If you want to compare him to somebody, I would say Matt Forte would be a good person to compare him to. While Matt Forte was not a burner, he was more intelligent than fast. So that kind of balanced him out. Let's go to a guy that I actually think my team, the Falcons, by the way, shout out to Jamal Anderson, one of the greatest running backs the Falcons ever had, but that's not saying much. Uh, one of the guys I think my team is focused on, and that's Isaiah Spiller. Now, I did have the pleasure of watching him play a lot because he is an SEC team on Texas A&M, and I am an SEC fan. His gap vision, his cut quickness, his explosions is it's a real problem for anybody trying to tackle this kid. If he's already in your gap, he's going to probably get away from you. It's going to take a real smart linebacker or defensive lineman to know which gap he's going to go through to stop him. But if he gets through that gap, you're not, and he's in the free space, you're really not going to catch him. And that's not saying nothing bad about defense. It's just what he can do as a running back. And it was scary, some of the things that I actually saw him do. As far as weakness, he really doesn't have too many weaknesses that we can really harp on just because of overall, as the overall back, I think he is top two or even the top. It just depends on what your team is looking for. Like I said, I think my team should get him because we are Sands with a running back. I kind of compare him to Aaron Jones, which is not bad. He might need to be a little more productive, but it's fine. No, young player. Now, this one is going to shock a lot of people. And I understand that he was actually on a team with another running back who people rate higher, but between the two, I prefer more of a multifaceted back that can do both and not just, running pass and not just more of a pass catcher. And that's Zamir White. Yes, I know everybody's going to talk about Cook, which is fine. His pedigree is there. I understand that. But being a UGA fan, James Cook and Zamir White are definitely two different backs. Now, I still think James Cook will get drafted. But I think overall as a back, Zamir is better. Zeus, as we called him, did get those tough yards that we needed, especially in the championship game, that Cook getting. Cook is more of a burner by far. Zamir is not as fast as Cook, but power, his vision, his hands are just as good. And that's why I think he would just be a better pick before Cook. I still think they both get drafted, but I think people might be more enamored with Cook just because of his flash. But I mean, if you're an NFL team and you're looking for a lightning back who quickness, speed, cuts, receiving ability, and he can bring the thunder when he's running, this is the guy. I kind of compare him to Leonard Fournette would be a good comparison for this guy. Now let's talk. Just going to talk about another surprise because, like I said, I could have brought up James Cook, but I want to focus on a guy that I actually think will be a steal for whatever team drafts him. It's Damon Pierce from Florida. Now this guy gave us problems. He did break a couple long runs on us, but with us having the ungodly world-beating defense, we kind of kept him in check. But in his other games, he dealt with the contact. He's one of the rare backs that when you hit him, he'll bounce off contact and actually use that leverage to further accelerate himself downfield. The only weakness that I really saw from some of the games that I watched, he doesn't have a true third level home run gear. You can't catch him, but he can get to that second level and he can cause some damage to safeties that are trying to tackle him. I think that some NFL teams might assume that he's limited, or they'll look at his tape and they'll think about what he could do. And I think I could compare him to, I think you'll like this, Frank Gore, who we know third running back in NFL history to, bust out certain numbers, definitely going to the Hall of Fame. I really think that out of these five backs, if your team gets any of them, you should be happy. Even James Cook. I know some of y'all are going to be like, you got to say it. Okay. Out of those six running backs, It just depends on what your scheme is and what you're actually going to look for. Like, again, I hope we get Isaiah Spiller. I'd be satisfied with James Cook later in the round, but if Zamir is there, I say take him first. But that's all I got for today. Make sure you have our notifications on and check out our next videos. And I will catch you on the next one. Holla!